Howdy gamers, so let's talk about the runes for Anivia mid lane. Um, she has a bit of variation. The most meaningful variations are going to be with Arcane Comment versus Summoner Spellbook, but starting off with Arcane Comment, in my opinion, Arcane Comment is kind of like a solo queue thing where yes, you're going to be dealing more damage. Yes, you're going to be able to beat your opponent a bit easier. Um, but I don't think it's really the point most of the time. But it is a good page, especially until you're at like a pretty significant MMR, like Grandmaster on basically every single server. It's like might as well, if you're gonna play Anivia, might as well just play like run the runes that is just gonna make you beat the worst players more. So that's that. With Arcane Comment, whenever you damage an enemy champion with an ability, it hurls a comment in their location, so it can miss. And then its cooldown is also reduced based on your ability's hit. So whenever you like have your ult on multiple targets, it makes it so that you're going to be proccing Arcane Comment like pretty consistently or like pretty often. Where you have a single target mixed with AoE as well, it also makes it so that its cooldown is just reduced pretty quickly. So Nivea, also, if you're using your Q, if you're landing your Q straight out, you're going to guarantee the Arcane Comment to hit. Also, whenever you catch the enemy out with your ult, you're basically guaranteeing the Arcane Comment to hit. So that, and then it's just going to give you more damage on your full rotation at all stages of the game. So it just gives you more damage in lane, then it just gives you more damage in mid to late game fights. So that's that. Second rune is going to be Mana Flow Ban. You gain mana for damaging the enemy champion, so another reward for damaging the enemy champions with abilities. And then it permanently stacks up to 250, and then you get 25 per stack. So it's basically like a sapphire crystal for free. Pretty generally useful on most mages, as obviously just the more abilities, the more mana you have, the more abilities you can cast, the better. But with Anivia especially, like it's a pretty mana hungry champion. Even when you have Saros completing Rod of Ages, like you can still run out of mana. So she's pretty unique in that sense. So every bit of mana you get is effectively a lot of damage through her ult when used correctly. So that's that. Third rune, Transcendence, you gain 10% CDR at level 10. Anivia like is pretty confined to her lane, and you want to be getting more value for existing in the lane basically. So you're going to get to level 10 pretty quickly as you're the mid laner, and then the extra CDR is going to just let you have more E's and Q's mostly. It's not like for the ult or for the WCDR. So makes it so that your second rotation of your E and Q just comes out a little bit faster, so it just makes things easier in team fights especially. And then fourth rune, if you're running this page, you might as well run Scorch, because Gathering Storm's fine, Gathering Storm's great, it's good, but if you're running Arcane Comment, like you're already playing to win the early game, so might as well run Scorch. Your next damaging ability, hit, sets the enemy on fire, Jesus, dealing 15 to 35 based on your level, bonus magic damage. So you're also going to be getting the extra damage from your levels a bit faster since you're using this in the mid lane, and then Scorch is also only on a 10-second cooldown. So basically every time your Q's up, and that's when you're going to be wanting to be poking anyways, you're going to be able to proc Scorch as well. So that plus Arcane Comment makes it so that it's more brutal for the enemy laner whenever you land your abilities, and that's that. And then if you're running this, the second page I'd recommend is going to be Precision with Presence of Mind, and then Coupe de Grasse. Presence of Mind recently changed coming into Season 10, makes it so that your takedowns restore 20% of your maximum mana, and then it permanently increases your maximum mana by 100, and then this is up to 500. So even if you're not solo killing your lane, it's kind of easy to get kills or assists that's going to permanently increase your mana by 100, which is pretty crazy for Anivia. And again, with Presence of Mind, it's like a win more rune for Anivia. It's not like required, and then if you're not getting kills or assists, you're also not getting value out of it. But when you are winning, you're going to be able to have more mana to either continue fighting during that fight or continue laning afterwards. So pretty generally useful there, and then having the extra maximum mana increase just helps you throughout all stages of the game as well. Coupe de Grasse, you deal 8% more damage to champions who have less than 40% health. So on your second rotation of your Q and E, this helps you finish off a target that you either previously chunked in a fight or in lane. So helps you kill the target. That's like as deep as that one goes. And then for adaptive runes, it's going to be adaptive force, and then depending on your lane, you want to run armor and magic resist. So if you're against Zed, Talon, Kiana, you want to run armor. And then if you're against champions like Syndra, Orianna, Vigar, etc., like any magic damage champion in the mid lane, you want to run magic resist. So you have to adjust the resistance every single game depending on your matchups, but that's basically it. So these are definitely the better runes in solo queue, but I don't think they're the best runes on Anivia. So that's that with this page. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I answer literally all of them. The rune page I like a whole lot better is Inspiration with Summoner Spellbook, Free Boots, Biscuits, and then you could run any of these, but I think Cosmic Insight's probably the better one. And then for secondary runes, I think your better options are like Mana Flow Transcendence or Cheap Shot Ghost Poro. Maybe depending on the matchup, but the default one's probably Mana Flow Transcendence, as it's pretty generally useful and then also just helps with your scaling. And then the mana kind of outweighs a lot of things for Anivia, which is super weird and unique for her. So something like this would be more useful on, like, I don't even know, but it is kind of interesting as you're building mana early, you could still be building up AP with Ghost Poro and then being able to take slightly better trades in lane with Cheap Shot. Cheap Shot would also kind of like help your jungler during ganks, but it's like, why even gank the Anivia lane? So it's kind of like trying to be the Arcane Comment page without really being it. It's kind of how I see that. So Mana Flow Transcendence would be the default. With Unsealed Spellbook, you'd be running TP with this rune variation. You'd probably be running Ignite with the Arcane Comment rune choice. But with Unsealed Spellbook and running TP, it makes it so, like, Anivia can use every summoner spell pretty well. The main ones that you'd be swapping to early would be Ignite, Barrier, Exhaust, Ghost, Heal. Like, they're all pretty generally useful for Anivia, and no matter which one she has, she's going to be getting value out of it in a team fight, which is so nice. And with most control mages in the mid lane, the most prominent ones using this, like Orianna, like, they need to be able to get that value out of it, and Anivia does that. And the summoner spells usually, let's say if the game, like at a higher MMR match where the games are going even, and then it's all about like how hard you're scaling, Unsealed Spellbook like definitely just scales harder than the Arcane Comment. And then having the extra summoner spells in a team fight also is just more impactful in a team fight. Because if you have an exhaust for, like, let's say a Kiana and Aatrox diving onto your allies and you're peeling for them, with your abilities and with the summoner spell, it's so wildly useful. So Summoner Spellbook has a lot of general utility, but then when it comes down to like when both teams are evenly matched and then you have just an extra combat summoner spell, it's so wild. You can even have two come mid to late game. You're around a Baron fight and you have a heal and exhaust. It's so wild, man. Early game you have an ignite. Mid game you have a ghost and a barrier. It's it's pretty wild. I like it, man. I really like that rune. Wish supports could run it. It's so fucking good. Anyway, second rune, Magical Footwear. You're just saving 300 gold. Since you're just building, again, you're like trying to accelerate your scaling. Magical Footwear, you're offsetting the cost of boots. You're getting more movement speed, and then you weren't gonna buy boots before 12 minutes anyways. You're just stacking up your tier item and then existing in lane. Biscuit Delivery, you gain a total biscuit every 2 minutes until 6 minutes, and then it restores 10% of your missing health and mana, and then consuming a biscuit or selling it permanently increases your maximum mana by 50. So this gives you just basically mana for free. If you sell them, it's fine. If you have to use them in lane, it's fine. It helps you if you're winning, losing, or even. So that's the nice thing about biscuits. Dematerializer might be useful in particular matchups, and Futures Market is better for control mages that want to build Ludens first, as it helps them get to Lost Chapter like way earlier. There might be like a recall timing with tier with Futures Market that I'm not thinking of, but until I do that research, I guess I'm recommending biscuits. Cosmic Insight gives you 5% CDR on your abilities, summoner spells, and items. So it makes it so that your Seraphs is going to be at a lower cooldown. It makes it so that your basically just your Q and E are on a lower cooldown, and then having your teleport and flash up more often also helps. That's basically that. And then Mana Flow again, just giving you mana for free, and then with Transcend, not for free, it gives you mana for hitting an ability, and then giving you up to 250, and then Transcendence giving you the 10% CDR, and then the adaptive runes would say the same. This is definitely just the better higher MMR page, as if the game's going even, it just accelerates your scaling, and then having the extra, having 2 summoner spells come like mid to late game fights is so absolutely ridiculous, man. And with the defensive nature of Anivia, it makes it so that it's even more brutal for the enemy, because the defensive summoner spells work great on her, as if champions are diving onto her, she can help like peel for herself and then peel for her allies as well. And then the offensive summoner spells do effectively the same thing, but then just make it more brutal for champions that like don't or have to like stay alive in fights to continue being useful once they dive onto the back line. So champions like Irelia, Aatrox, if you have an Ignite on top of them, it makes it very, very brutal for them. So that's that. That's the Anivia runes. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Again, I answer literally all of them. If this video helped you, leaving a like helps me, and that's that. Oh yeah, I'll be streaming on Twitch again once the season starts. You know, just in a couple days. Twitch.tv/SawyerNelson, links in the description. I won't be playing Anivia. I main support. Great champion though. If I played mid lane, holy smokes, would probably be playing Malzahar instead. Alrighty, bye bye. See ya. Thanks for thanks for watching. Bye.